Okay, guys, welcome. This is IELTS Speaking, part three. We have sample questions here, and our today's topic is silence versus noise. I'm going to read the questions for you and try to give sample answers for these questions so that you can listen and see how you're supposed to be answering these questions. And after you are listening of these answers, I would recommend you to go back and see part one and part two questions, then try to answer all these questions by yourself. We have our own playlists. So go and visit our Alice Speaking Lab page and see what you can get for yourself there. If you haven't subscribed, just subscribe and open notifications. Looking forward to seeing more of you and, of course, your comments. Without further ado, let's get started. The first question: why do some people prefer silence while others enjoy noise? Actually, I think this is depending on what kind of environment these people are working, or are they thoughtful people? For most people who prefer to be in silent places, they are probably affected by any kind of noise. They cannot sleep at night when there is too much noise. They cannot study or they cannot work in an environment where it's too much noise. And I think it's usually the people who are more focused and the people who have a lot of thoughts going on and they love the quietness so that they could focus and think better. And for the ones who enjoy noise, I think they are the people who love living in big cities and loud places, probably opening loud music. It's usually a big problem when a person who prefers silence stays at the same place with a person who prefers noise, because I remember having the experience of living with a neighbor who was always listening to loud music, and I wasn't very comfortable. And when I talked to them, they said they won't do that again. But after a few days, they kept on listening to the same loud music. So I guess it's a way of telling you to, if you don't like it, you have to go somewhere else. So I think it's usually very difficult and much more difficult for the people who prefer silence, even though silence is always better in the circumstances that I'm working. Question number two: do you think modern cities are becoming too noisy? Yes, I could say the noisy pollution is a big thing in modern cities. When I'm thinking about what we have nowadays, a lot of people or so many families in modern cities, almost every family, especially in big ones, have their own cars. So imagine a city with 20 million people or 15 million people, and probably there is one car per every five people. So that's almost 3 million cars in one city, probably a small city, and the infrastructure isn't good. And we always hear the horns, the cars being driven, and sometimes the car crashes and stuff. So these modern cities are becoming too noisy because of these cars. But not only cars, there are machines. In some modern cities, you have factories and people working in these places. So this automatically increases the noise inside the city. I'm living in a big city, Istanbul, and this city is very crowded and it's very noisy. And the noise are not only coming from factories or restaurants or even cars and buses. Sometimes the noise are coming from people, because when a lot of people speak at the same time, then you can hear the noise that is really, really disturbing sometimes, and you always feel a need to be extra careful. Maybe a car might come, maybe someone might, press their horn and make you feel uncomfortable, especially when you're crossing the road. So we have rough drivers, we have a lot of people, we have restaurants working 24/7, we have cafes working 24/7, we have public transport, all in a very small place with millions and millions of people living in. Question number three: how does noise affect people's productivity and mental health? I'm going to start with people's productivity. Of course, if you want to focus and work better and only think about that work, especially when you are in a flow. I remember when I was writing my first book, I was in a cafe, but the cafe was too loud, so I had these noise cancelling headphones that I was putting, and that total silence always helped me to focus better. Why was I working in such a loud place? I loved the coffee in there, so I could just refill my coffee, keep on drinking, and working for long hours. Also, what I don't like isn't seeing people. What I don't like is the noise. So when I'm working and I see people sometimes passing, they kind of give me those 5 to 10 minutes to be distracted and looking outside, probably. Those few moments of a distraction helps me to refocus and going back to my work. And when it comes to mental health, I think little by little, too much noise affects how you think and affects your focus abilities. So these kind of things are really important to be focusing on, especially in big cities. A lot of people are depressed, a lot of people are sad, a lot of people are angry, and one of these reasons could be the noise. The last question is about the government. Should the government regulate noise more strictly? I think yes, the government should take part. There are lots of ways that you can regulate noise. One of these ways could be trying to reduce the noise making machines in the city, especially the cars. Nowadays, we have electric cars which are known to be more silent, or hybrid cars, and more cars are coming and becoming more and more silent. And also people following the rules, not shouting or fighting in streets. If these kinds of events happen, they have to be punished, or they have to be fined for these kind of activities. When people are in public places, they shouldn't be allowed to speak aloud, otherwise they should be fined. I know in most cafes in this city, you are not allowed to smoke inside, and once you smoke inside, then you have to be fined a lot of money. And this is working, and no one is actually smoking inside these cafes. I think it could be the same with probably people being loud, especially in places where people are sitting down trying to do their work or studying. It's unnecessary. In restaurants, of course, people are trying to be as quiet when they're eating, but the people who work in the restaurants could be a little bit loud. I think we cannot do much about it. So the government could put some rules, some policies to about public places, and try to control the amount of noise. Also in the roads, trying to prohibit noisy cars and devices, probably not allowing them to enter the country because they're causing the noise pollution and harming people's mental health. I think the government can actually work on that. So that was our last question. All I want to advise you guys, there are so many methods when it comes to practicing your IELTS speaking skills. One of my favorite methods is trying to create the answer by writing and then try to read this answer to yourself aloud. This helps your tongue to learn the grammar, learn the concepts, and learn how to speak with the proper English, trying to answer these questions in accordance to what has been asked here. Another method could be obviously reading a lot, again aloud and silent, trying to learn new vocabularies. But before vocabularies, I love people to focus on phrases. So you could find speaking phrases for IELTS examination and try to practice with them. Coming here and watching these videos is one thing. After watching these videos, try to do these questions by yourself. Try to record yourself and see how you are doing. So this is the end of our video. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our new videos that are going to be coming almost every week. So take care of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, open those notifications, and tell me in the comments what you think about these videos. What should you like us to improve, or what should you like to learn next time?